may remember the term that's used, but it's kind of, we've moved the goalposts of what this term means, and that term was flatten the curve. Flattening the curve at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic was allowing people to have information and telling people they should stay home so we could get our healthcare system up and running to the point where they wouldn't be overloaded and our healthcare system could be safe. We've reached that point. We have allowed our healthcare systems to be at a point where they can take in patients from COVID-19 and handle normal daily business. We have seen that our healthcare system has all but crashed in this new economy. They have lost so much money because they have not been able to take on daily operations. But now flatten the curve has become this new meaning where we are supposed to still stay at home and we are not supposed to visit businesses, and we need to remember that although this virus is serious, we have seen the data now that it is not necessary to shut down our economy in order to protect the individuals that are in our communities. And as a small business owner myself, I would say to other small business owners that based on the information that's out there from the CDC, from the state of Delaware, from the health department, that as a small business owner, you need to look at the decisions you need to make for your business, for your staff, for the people you serve, and you need to make decisions based on that. They will set out guidelines of what they would like you to do, but at the end of the day, you need to make a decision what's best for your family, what's best for your community, and what's best for the people that you serve. Because at the end of the day, you've got to make a living, you've got to put food on the table, and so does all of the members that work for you. And so does everybody that comes in your workplace as well. And I would ask that all of you consider that when you look at those restrictions. We are, as Senator Lawson said, a lot of us around this table are the people that sign checks. And we know that the most important thing is that we need to make sure that we have money to pay our employees. I don't know how many years that my wife and I went without taking a paycheck ourselves so that our employees could get paid first, and that is the most important thing. We have been able to work within these restrictions, but the time is going to come when our businesses need to make decisions based on what's best for them. We have flattened the curve, and it's time for us to take the reins and say, we need our economy open, and we need to be we are health driven, and we need it to be open, and we need to get back to normal.
Thank you again, gentlemen. In reference to the third question, and I speak for myself when I say this, it's been a bit of a moral hazard, in my opinion, to see certain businesses be allowed to be open, certain businesses to be closed. I'm fortunate to have an essential business, but if I did not, I would probably take jail time over allowing the government to force my business into financial ruin while others are thriving. And a lot of you guys have already touched on this already, but the third question is, if COVID resurges, and it very well may in the fall, if not sooner, will you support another lockdown of businesses and the economy, or do you support they remain open? And if so, what ideas do you have to keep the businesses and the economy up and running if that were to happen? And we'll start with Representative Poches.
Good. Let's be clear. The legislature as a body has nothing to do with these restrictions. This has been a state of emergency declaration by the governor. All the modifications have been by the governor, and it is entirely the product of his doing. Very, very simply, let's make that clear. As the law currently stands, the General Assembly does not really have the authority to any authority in a state of emergency declaration. The governor has that unfettered authority, and he has the authority to renew it every 30 days for as long as he wants, and he has renewed it several times. I would say, given that we now know that this COVID is not the dire threat that we thought it was in early March, I could not support shutting down or closing businesses and imposing the kind of damage that we have done to our economy. Look, you all know that small businesses and working families have suffered tremendously through this, tremendously. And we can't go through that again. If there is a second wave, and I think there well might be, I think we can continue operating. We need to take responsible actions to reduce risks. In business, we take risks. That's what we do. That is part of managing our business, is we manage risks. So now, as well as when another wave may come, we need to manage that risk by modifying some personal behaviors, washing our hands, coughing into our elbows, distancing, cleaning surfaces, even wearing masks are some of those things that we can do to manage that risk. We want to protect ourselves, we want to protect our employees, we want to protect our customers. But we are smart and responsible. We manage risks, and we do not need another lockdown.
Kudos to Representative Postal as he took the main words right out of my mouth. We all have to manage risk in all of our decisions. Again, it's the individuals that have been at the highest risk pool. The elderly, individuals with underlying health conditions. We have the ability to manage the risk for the other individuals in our state. I would not favor an additional lockdown or changing of our policies. Again, consumers, individuals are going to respond if there is another increase in positive cases, which most likely will occur because we're testing more, and we're going to see more positive cases. That doesn't mean that it's going to be a critical risk to our hospitalizations, our intensive care, and the death rate. Not to minimize anybody who's lost a loved one, a friend. I mean, it's tragic, it's sad. However, we do have to look at the risk. People will adjust and make their own decisions if they feel that their lives are in danger. However, to carte blanche shut down the economy again or take two steps back, we have to look at the economy, mental health, and just the impact of what the decision that would be and the risk that would put out outside of the health risk.
I just want to make one comment about the risk management. Going into business, you have those risks, and you understand those, and you consider those in your decisions. But I don't think any business in the state of Delaware, or for that matter across the nation, would consider the risk of government shutting you down. That's just not in the playbook, nowhere that I've ever seen. So that is disastrous. Small business in this state is the backbone. Small business across this country is the backbone of it. It's where the income comes, it's where the finances flow through, the money rolls, and without them, we're just going to be damaged so badly there'll be no recovery. So closing a business doesn't work. It does not work. And furthermore, when in the history, in any history, have we taken to quarantining the public and not quarantining those who are sick and vulnerable and letting the economy roll? This is unheard of, unprecedented, and unneeded. So would I back a shutdown? Oh, absolutely not.
Would I back a complete shutdown? No, I would not. I think it was absolutely sickening, and no pun intended, to see our small businesses go by the wayside, and the support of the large chains of Walmarts and all these large stores that were allowed to stay open that were essentially doing the same thing that our small businesses were on the larger scale, pushing our small businesses out of the wayside that are already having a challenging time competing with these larger businesses, putting them on hold and saying, we understand that basically you're doing the same thing, but we're not going to allow you to compete. Even though you can probably monitor the individuals coming into your business better, and although you can probably do a much better job in making sure that people are educated that come in and understand what needs to be done, we're going to forget that, and we're just going to drive the herd to a couple places in our communities. I think if there is a resurgence, there needs to be a total support of all our small businesses, and that needs to be from not only the small business community, with you all being part of at the table, but also needs to be from a delegation of representatives from small business owners that are from both sides of the aisle. And I would say that we really, really do need to consider also legislation that has been placed on the table of only allowing an emergency from the governor's office to only stand for an emergency declaration, to only stand for 2 weeks before it is voted on by the full legislature to continue that as well. There is no reason why the representatives of the people that you voice your opinion to, and you expect to go to Dover to voice your opinion for you, there is no reason why we shouldn't have a continued conversation and continue an emergency declaration on with you being at the table with us.
So I'm not going to repeat a lot